Peace. Let's talk about this upcoming Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Okay, let's get started. Now, I have my notes handy, and first I want to say that Mercury retrograde in Pisces, it starts February 26th, it goes to March 20th. So we typically have a retrograde in Mercury about 4 to 5 times per year, and each retrograde always lasts for 3 weeks. The energy that we're talking about during the event may be felt leading up to the event and shortly after the event, because the energy is still there. It's lighter energy, but it's still there nonetheless. So the pre and post shadow periods for Mercury retrograde are always 2 weeks. So we're in the pre-shadow period for this upcoming Mercury retrograde already at the time of this recording, which is February 22nd. So February 26th through March 20th is the actual retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So that means that Mercury will be traveling through the constellation known as Pisces during that time. Now, retrogrades sometimes are thought of as the planet or the energy going in reverse on its orbit instead of in a forward motion. They don't start going in reverse. What they do is they start slowing down. And so I liken that to when you are in a moving vehicle and you are next to another vehicle that's in motion, and you are both pulling up to stop, let's say at a stop sign, stoplight, etc. And the slowing down of the vehicles, if you are to look over at the vehicle next to you and look at their tires, they sometimes the rims will look like they're moving or spinning in reverse as you're slowing down. It's an optical illusion. It looks like the thing that you're looking at that's spinning is starting to spin in reverse. It's because they're slowing down. Same with these astrological events. So Mercury is not, when it's in retrograde, it's not moving in reverse. It's slowing down though, and it's an optical illusion that it's going in reverse. What does that mean for us? Well, when we're going through Mercury retrograde, there is the possibility of miscommunication. Mercury is the planet that governs our communication. And in retrograde, Mercury can be the author of confusion, the author of miscommunication. It's all about your perspective. It's all about how you handle and work with the energy. Look at your chart, see where you have Pisces, because that is where you will have Mercury in retrograde over this period of time. So I have some notes about everything else that will be taking place in the cosmos at the same time as this Mercury retrograde, just to put it all into perspective for you. Now, one major thing to note is this time period of Mercury in retrograde from February 26th to March 20th is leading us up to spring equinox, which takes place on March 20th. And so this is very important. So listen up. Now, the retrograde starts February 26th at approximately about 12:49 p.m. Central Time. So thereabout. Now, at the same time as this Mercury retrograde starting on February 26th, we have what is known as a grand trine. Now, a trine occurs when two planetary bodies are 120 degrees apart from each other. They are always 4 signs apart from each other in the cosmos as well as in the charts. You can look not only at your natal chart online, you can look up a chart of what's taking place out in the universe at any present moment. I like to use AstroSeek for that purpose. Astro-Seek, S-E-E-K. I will put it here if I can. And I use astro.com for personal charts. So that's just my preference, but there are plenty of free resources to look up charts online. But looking that information up, you can see a trine relationship between these two planetary energies. When there's a grand trine it looks like a triangle, or can make a triangle if you connect the energies visually. And so there are three or more energies. They are all forming trines with each other at the same time. What makes them grand is they are in the same element. And so this grand trine is taking place in water signs. Now, this will heighten emotional energy during this time for this Mercury retrograde. Also, the elements that are, well, the energies that are in this water element for this grand trine are Moon in Cancer, part of Fortune, which is where the money resides, in Scorpio, and the Sun in True Node, which is one of the lunar nodes. They are forming a conjunction together in Pisces at that time, because that is the beginning. Well, we're in the Pisces season right now, but they will be at the early stage of Pisces. And so, again, the grand trine is the moon in Cancer, so that's the first water sign, part of Fortune in Scorpio, second water sign. And then we have the Sun in True Node forming a conjunction, so they're close together in the sign of Pisces. What does that mean? Because at the same time, the Sun and True Node conjunction in Pisces, they're forming a square with Black Moon Lilith. So some notes that I have is, we, like I mentioned, we'll have the heightened emotions, also heightened intuition. When there's a grand trine in the water signs, our collective intuition is heightened. So this is really a time of really checking in with self and looking inward, because that's the other thing. Retrogrades bring introspection. That's how you can work with the energy, is to be introspective, to not look outside of yourself, to look within. So as it relates to how you communicate, how effective your level of communication is, what you communicate about, what you're passionate about, it's time to turn that focus inward. Your intuition will be heightened, so definitely tap into that. Also, Mars in Aquarius at the same time will be square Uranus in Taurus. And so that has to do with your action. Okay. Now, you might feel the urge to kind of break free from the mold and do your own thing at any cost, to detach. And this could be a safe time for isolation, for time, it's like a hibernation time, because especially leading up to spring equinox on March 20th, which will be essentially the last day of the retrograde, even though we'll have the post shadow period, but still the end of the official retrograde time. This is a great time for planning, for preparing for what is coming up around the bend. Next, this is a great time to release vices, like I mentioned with the Sun and True Node conjunction. So that's all about purposeful energy, our identity aligned with our purpose. But forming that square with Black Moon Lilith, that's a need for conflict resolution. And so it's time to release vices that we have, things that may be hindering us, or like a stumbling block along our path, and that is getting in the way of us optimizing our lives, of us getting ahead and evolving and elevating in life. So release the vices while also aligning yourself with your purpose, aligning your identity with your purpose, aligning your actions and your words with that purpose. Okay. Now, like I said, this is an increased time for you to plan and for you to prepare, because once we get to March 20th, and I will do a video on spring equinox, but once we get to that time, I looked ahead at what will be taking place during that time. And on March 20th, which is the end of Mercury retrograde in Pisces, we will have the Sun in Aries. It'll be at the beginning of Aries, which is the start, like I said, spring equinox, the start of the zodiac as well, the start of our astrological year. The Sun will be forming a conjunction with that Saturn Neptune conjunction. I'm going to post that video up here where I spoke about the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. So the Sun will be forming a conjunction with them. That's aligning our identity with manifestation, with starting fresh, with a new start, renewed energy. And also Mercury and True Node will be in retrograde. Mercury will be forming a conjunction with True Node in Pisces, and Mars will be in Pisces, forming a trine with Jupiter in Cancer. So all of that points to manifestation energy. So the typical advice that we give with regard to Mercury retrogrades is to not um, start any sort of new agreement, not to start any new venture or new endeavor. It's a great time for planning. Like I said, focus inward, that introspective energy, to take advantage of that, to do your planning. No executing if possible. If you have something that must be executed during that time, from February 26th to March 20th, go over any contractual agreement with a fine tooth comb to really ensure that everything is as you would like it to be. Everything is as it should be. If you're able to put off anything, definitely at least to March 20th. Um, if not the end of the post shadow period, which will be April 3rd, but definitely at least to March 20th to put things off like that if you can. So like no moving during that time if possible. And again, no starting a new venture, but plan, execute March 20th, because on exactly March 20th, the energy is truly ripe for manifestation. So that's it for today with regard to the Mercury retrograde in Pisces. I will post more videos along the way. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a pleasure. So peace to you and wellness and blessings. Be well, and I will be in touch with you.